Our next guest, Lesley Tuchten, is a local ceramicist who sculpts custom pet ceramics from her vineyard home in Riebeek West. Lesley is also a part of a group of local businesswomen who, in celebration of Women's Month, have been selected to be a part of the Poetry Collective, an initiative that gives small businesses the platform to grow and expose their brands. Well, to tell us more about this, she's joining now us via Zoom. Lesley, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I apologize for my internet. It's not good in the valley.
Okay, no worries. We'll try our best. Lesley. Now, speak to us about where your love for sculpting came about.
I'm not really sure. I've always enjoyed ceramics. I started while I was at university. I got quite bored in my master's year. And the sculpture part, I'm so sorry.
Please say hi to her.
She's gone now.
Okay.
I have always had a lot of animals, as you can see, and I've always been fascinated by them. And when I started ceramics, it just seemed like a natural thing to try and copy them.
Now, briefly paint a picture for us, if you can, as to what a day of work looks like for a ceramicist.
You get up and you put on every piece of clothing you have because it's freezing cold. And then I go into my studio, which is pretty cold, and just start. I usually use the morning to do more creative things. That's when my energy is at its highest. And then in the afternoon, I'll pivot to something a bit more factory-like, just making the basic things, glazing. That's when my energy is lowest.
Okay. Now, talk to us about your passion for sculpting animals. I mean, why have you chosen pets to be your muses?
I think you saw what I'm dealing with at home. They're incredible. I love the way their faces can look human when you put them into clay. There's a mixture of humanity in them. I love the way that you can change the expression on the face just by moving a little line on the eyebrow. And I'm obsessed with my pets and everybody else's. I tend to stop people in the street if they're walking their dog.
Really?
Yes. When I'm walking my dogs.
Okay, Lesley. Now, I believe that all the items for your products are sort of handcrafted and painted. Take us through that process.
I start with getting photos from my clients. They send me as many as possible. People don't believe me when I say as many as possible. And sometimes I get hundreds and sometimes I get two, and I have to explain I really do mean as many as possible. And then depending on the size of the animal, I'll either start by sculpting it solid, the body first, then it needs to dry out a little bit so that it's a bit more plastic so I can work it a bit. And then I will start sculpting on the expressions and the faces. And that's the part that I really, really work on, is to try and make it true to the expression of the picture I was given.
Right.
For the bigger pieces, you have to roll out slabs of clay, and I wrap them around rolled up newspaper to form the body. And then again, you've got to wait a little bit to let it dry out. So there's always this break in between starting and turning it into the thing it looks like. And in between it looks like a lump, which is difficult to live with. But once you know that you've got the capacity to turn it into the picture, then you get patient.
And just when you look back, you look at some of your products, you look at some of your masterpieces. So what is it that you think that you would have done better and in perfecting your craft?
I'm never truly happy. I always want to do better. If I look at the product I made a year ago, I'm pleased to see how much better I've got. But every time I send a product to a client, I think, I could have done that foot better or that expression, or the glazing is incredibly difficult because it's not like paint. You don't know, it doesn't look the way it's going to look after it's been in the kiln. Mm-hmm. So you're taking an educated guess when you're putting any color onto those sculptures.
Okay. Now tell us more about you being a part of the poetry collective that seeks to celebrate businesswomen during this Women's Month.
That's been wonderful. They contacted me early in the year. Until then, I'd been doing these one-off pieces for clients. It takes a long time. It's very bespoke. And they asked me to create a line specifically for poetry. You won't see this line anywhere else. And that had to turn into a little bit of a factory. Not a huge thing, but I do have to get a factory in Cape Town to slipcast and make the pieces, which are mugs with 2 dogs and 2 cats on them, and cookie jars with the same. And then when it came time to paint the faces, I actually worked out time per mug. It's about half an hour per mug, and I realized that the quantities poetry needed were just impossible for me to do on my own. So then I went looking for a labor force to paint, and the best I could find were these incredible gogos in Gugulethu, who picked up a difficult craft really, really quickly. And they make it possible. If I didn't have them and the factory, I would never be able to do this.
Wow, wow. And what advice do you have then for young women out there that may be watching this interview and aspire to become ceramicists?
Patience, a supportive family. My parents, when I told them I was quitting politics to do ceramics full time, they didn't say you're crazy. They just supported me through it. Patience and as much training as possible, and I say that having got very little training myself. That was the wrong way to do it.
Okay. Now, Lesley, before I let you go, do you have a studio, or how are you reachable?
I'm reachable on Facebook and Instagram under Lesley Tuchten Ceramics, and all of my details are there. Clients can either send me a direct message or contact me via phone, email, WhatsApp. All
right, Lesley, great chatting to you, and I really love your work. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Great stuff. That was another one of our Women's Month profiles. Her name is Lesley Tuchten, and she's a local ceramicist that is so passionate about sculpting pets.